Ever wondered what the big deal about Damascus Steel is? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into a world of history and metallurgy that's as layered as the steel itself. Now, if we were to make a comparison, albeit a humorous one, we could say that if steel was a regular Joe, Damascus Steel would be James Bond. Picture this: steel is solid, reliable, it gets the job done, but it's, well, rather ordinary. Now enter Damascus Steel. It's smooth, strong, and with a lot more layers. It's the James Bond of the steel world, with more intrigue and complexity than you can shake a martini at. This isn't your typical run-of-the-mill steel. It's got a reputation for strength, resilience, and a unique patterned appearance that's as striking as a Bond girl's evening gown. But where did this super steel come from? What's the story behind its creation? And why is it such a big deal? Let's find out. Like any good superhero, Damascus Steel has an origin story, and no, it doesn't involve radioactive spiders or billionaire parents with a penchant for crime fighting. Instead, our story begins in India, where around 300 BCE, blacksmiths were crafting a type of steel known as woots. This woots steel journeyed along trade routes to the Middle East, where blacksmiths in the city of Damascus began to forge it into the legendary blades we know today. Picture this: medieval knights trading their boring old swords for these shiny new upgrades, like kids swapping trading cards. And the Crusaders? They were totally green with envy. But the secret to making Damascus Steel was lost over time, like a recipe Grandma forgot to write down. It wasn't until the 21st century that scientists figured out its unique properties, making Damascus Steel the equivalent of that cool uncle with a mysterious past. So, the next time you're marveling at a Damascus Steel blade, remember, you're not just holding a piece of steel, you're holding a piece of history. Now you might be thinking, all this history is well and good, but what's Damascus Steel got to do with me? Well, dear listener, more than you might think. This ancient steel is not just a relic of the past, but a modern marvel that finds its place in our lives today. Damascus Steel is still being used in the making of knives and swords. Yes, you heard it right, swords. In an era where we can 3D print houses and cars, we're still using a steel-making technique from the 3rd century. Talk about vintage. There's something wonderfully ironic about slicing your bread with a knife made from a material that was once used to craft the weapons of warriors. It's like having a piece of history in your kitchen drawer. So whether you're a history buff, a metallurgy enthusiast, or just someone who appreciates a good knife, Damascus Steel has something for everyone. So there you have it, folks. Damascus Steel, a blend of history, science, and a whole lot of layers. It's like the onion of the metal world, only less likely to make you cry and more likely to make a sword that can slice through a silk scarf mid-air. Born in the fiery furnaces of the Middle East, this steel has been making waves and weapons since before the Crusades. Fast forward a few centuries and it's still turning heads. Whether it's in the blade of a world-class chef's knife, the barrel of a top-notch firearm, or the bezel of a luxury watch, Damascus Steel brings the wow factor. It's got the strength of 100 blacksmiths and the beauty of 1,000 starlit knights. And that, my friends, is the long and short of Damascus Steel. So the next time someone asks you, what's the big deal about Damascus Steel? You can say, well, have you got a minute?